Hi, guys. Welcome to the corrections for reteach for section 1.3 through 1.4 notes. I will tell you this, guys. Everyone is going to take notes on this for a grade. So whether you did it, you want to retake the or not. So this is you watch this video. I'll give you a secret code, and at the end of the video, you can turn in your work, and I'll give you 10 points if you have the secret code and all the work that I do on this. If you would like to retake the test 1.3 through 1.4 after that, you can look at your grade and see how you did. So what I would do right now is you might want to pause the video really quick, or if you know what you got on your quiz, look at your quiz from yesterday. If you like your score, then you can just turn these notes in at the end of the period and be done. If you don't like your score, I'd be done, but then you got to go do Dreambox. You can't sit there and mess around. But if you're not happy with your score, you can retake the test once you show me these notes. Does that sound good? I'll just put in, you're just going to come up to me and show them to me, and I'm going to give you 10 points if you have the secret code. Okay? All right. So with that being said, let's go ahead and go through the problems from the quiz yesterday. Now, I am just going to solve the entire thing. I'll answer the question, but then I'm going to complete the entire problem. Okay, so I'm going to actually do more than what the question is asking, but I'll also answer the question as I go. Okay, so this one says, and just write down these problems. So what I would write down right now is I would write down this right here: y minus 16 equals 3y. What would be the second step in solving this equation? Well, if I was going to solve this equation, I have y minus 16 equals 3y. The first thing I would do is I would subtract y from both sides, okay? So that gives me negative 16 equals 2y. So what I would do is the second step would be divide by 2 on both sides. So I would say divide by 2 on both sides. And so when you do that, you get negative 16 divided by 2 is negative 8. So y equals negative 8. Or you can say negative 8 equals y. Those are the same thing. So that's what I would say there. So make sure you're writing that down, and you have that for number 1. Whether you got it right or not, I still want you to take these notes. I will be giving a secret code in the video sometime. All right. Okay. Next problem says, after taking the interest formula and solving your equation for t, how many years will it take to get? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip this one for now until I actually get to that problem where I solve for t, because this is a little bit out of order. So I'm going to skip it for now, and I'll come back to it. Okay, because I want to do that other problem first where I solve for t, then come back and answer this question. Okay, so that's what I would have done if I were you, but who knows what you did. So skip for now. I'll come back to it. Okay, so here's one. A lot of you were like dying on this one. It was like you guys couldn't get it. It was so hard, but let's take a look and see what happens. So the area of a rectangle is equal to its perimeter. The base of the rectangle is 10 centimeters. The height of the rectangle is x centimeters. What is the value of x in this situation? Now, the first thing to always do is to draw a picture. That's the first thing you always want to do. It's saying a rectangle. Okay? So we're going to draw a rectangle. Let me draw a rectangle. And I'm sure we all know what rectangles look like, right? Now, we know on a rectangle, you could say this is your base and this is your height. Okay? Or B for base and H for height. Now, it tells us that the area of a rectangle is equal to its perimeter. So area is equal to perimeter. Okay, now, so when we're looking at area, the area of the formula is, the area formula of a rectangle is base times height equals, now the perimeter of a rectangle is equal to 2 heights plus 2 bases. Because when you're finding the perimeter, you're finding the distance around. The distance around is 2 heights plus 2 bases. And the formula for area is just base times height. So now it tells us that those two are equal to each other. So it's not always the case that that's true, but in this particular problem, the base, the area is equal to the perimeter. So these two formulas are equal to each other. Now let's put some information in here. It says the base of the rectangle is 10. So instead of the word base, we're going to put a 10 right here. The height of the rectangle is x. So instead of an x, instead of a height, we're going to put x. You see that? So now we're going to replace this formula right here. So base, we know base is 10 times the height, which is x, equals 2 times the height, which is x, plus 2 times the base, which is 10. See how I did that? I just replaced every time I saw the word height, I put an x, and every time I saw the word base, I put a 10, because that's what the problem says. The base is 10 and the height is x. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the math here. I'm going to solve this equation. Now let me clean this up a little bit first. So 10 times x, that's just 10x equals 2x, and 2 times 10 is 20, so plus 20. And now I'm just going to solve this for x. Well, I'm going to put a fairness bar, and I'm going to subtract 20 from both sides. When I do that, 10 minus 20 is 10. So 10x equals, hold on, 1 second. I'm going to reverse that. So sorry guys, I'm going to do that a little differently. I could do that, but I'm going to actually attack the weaker variable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 2 x's from both sides. 10x minus 2x is 8x. 2 x's cancel and we get 20. And then I just divide both sides by 8. Okay? So what would your answer be? Your answer would be x equals 20 divided by 8. Now, you can do this and you can write this. This is not reduced, right? We could divide this by 4, because 4 is the greatest common factor of 20 and 8. And that gives us 5 over 2, because 4 goes into 20 5 times, and 4 goes into 8 2 times. But if we wanted to rewrite this as a mixed number, this would equal 2 and 1/2. Or we could write this as 2.5. So any of these answers should have been correct on your test. Okay, sound good? So now that's how we did that problem yesterday that you guys were all so upset about and had questions on. All right, next problem. Let me kind of give myself some room here. Okay, so the next problem says, what are the, when solving this equation, 5n minus 17 equals n plus 7, what are the steps in the order to solve this equation? Well, let me write this down. So 5n minus 17 equals n plus 7. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract an n from both sides. I'm going to subtract in one n from both sides because I want to get all the variables on one side. So when I subtract a 1n from both sides or an n from both sides, I get 4n minus 17 equals 7. So the first step would be to subtract an n from both sides. So that's the first step that you'd want to put right there. Okay, so that's what you wanted to move first. Now, the next thing I'm going to do on this problem is I want to get n by itself is I'm going to add 17 to both sides. I'm going to add 17 to both sides. So that's the next thing I would do. I'd add 17 to both sides. So I get 4n equals 24. And then the last thing I would do is I would divide both sides by 4. I divide both sides by 4, so I get n equals 6. So I divide both sides by 4, and then my answer would be n equals 6. And it didn't ask for the answer, but those are the steps that you would do to solve this problem. And your answer would be n equals 6. But make sure you copy all of this down. I'm about ready to give a secret code. I'm feeling secret code-ish right now. Not quite yet, but I am starting to develop a secret code in my head. So just keep an ear out for my secret code here. Okay, solve the equation for y. Do not leave any spaces. Okay, so let me just recopy it over here. So we have 6x plus y equals 18. Now, guys, this should be a pretty simple problem. This should not be very difficult at all. Just to get y by itself, I would simply just add 6x's to both sides. Okay, I'd add 6x's. Those 6x's cancel. And so I get y equals, now I put that 6x first because I want something with an x first, plus the 18, and I'm done. So it's just y equals 6x plus 18. And hopefully you didn't put any spaces there. That's all you had to do, y equals 6x plus 18. That was a pretty simple problem, right? The secret code is, I'm not quite ready, guys. I still am kind of thinking about what I want to do for my secret code. So just keep in mind, I'm ready to give you a secret code, but I'm not quite ready. So the next thing is I want to go ahead and take this 2 and I want to multiply it through those parentheses right there, okay? So how many h's do you have after you use the distributive property and move your h's to the right side of the equation? And move your h's to the right side of the equation. Well, we'll see what happens. So we get 2h plus 10 equals negative 3h. Now, for some reason, they want you to move all of your h's to the right side. Okay, well, how do we do that? Well, we just get rid of the h's on the left side. So we subtract 2 h's from both sides, right? So these h's cancel. For some reason, this problem wants you to move the h's to the right side. We can do that just by subtracting 2 h's from both sides. So now we have 10 equals, now what's negative 3h minus 2h? Negative 3, if you do a little chart, if you need to do a chart, negative, positive, we won't even write I'll write the h's. So we have 3h that's negative. We have 2h's that's negative. We're on the same side. We add and keep the sign on top. 3h's plus 2h's is 5h's, and it's negative. So this is negative 5h. So your answer would be negative 5, right? That's what you should have bubbled in because you would have negative 5 h's on the right side. But let's finish the problem. So now let's divide both sides by a negative 5. Divide both sides by a negative 5. Those cancel out. 10 divided by negative 5 is negative 2. So h equals negative 2. So that would be the final answer on this. Okay. I'm ready to give the secret code. The secret code, very quickly, is fantastic fractions. Fantastic fractions. Would you write that next to your name on the on this practice test? Fantastic fractions. Okay, let's go move on. So now the next thing I'm going to do is, because I'm doing fractions here and I think they're fantastic, I'm going to go ahead and let's see, when solving this one, what is the value in front of the x after getting the variable on the left side of the equation? All right, well, I have 1/3 x equals 6 plus 3/4 x. And for some reason, this problem wants us to move the variables to the left side. So we don't want x's on the right side. We want x's on the left side. Okay, so in order to get rid of the variable on the right side, we have to subtract 3/4 x. But we have to also subtract 3/4 x from this side. So those will cancel out. Now, we have to put those together. We have 1/3 x and 3/4 x. How do we do that? Well, we just take 1/3 x. We need to get common denominators. And we have 3/4. What's the common denominator of 3 and 4? If you don't know how to do that, just think about the multiples of 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, ... 4 is 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, ... What number do they have, the smallest number they both have in common? Well, 12 is the smallest number. So that's the common denominator. So now the common denominator is going to be 12. And you could probably do that in your head. You probably don't need this list, but I just wanted to show you that it wasn't just magically. I can show it how you get it if you can't do that. So then we got to multiply 3 to get 12, so we got to multiply 3 here. Here we got to multiply 4 to get 12, so we got to multiply here. So 3 times 3 is 9, and 1 times 4 is 4. So you're taking 4/12 and 9/12. So 1/3 is really 4/12, right? 1/3 is really 4/12. And 3/4 is really 9/12. So we are taking 4/12 and the positive 4/12, and we are subtracting 9/12. So how do we get that? Well, let's see here. 4 minus 9 equals, what's 4 minus 9? Well, 9 minus 4 is 5, right? So this is going to be negative 5/12. So I believe we're going to get negative 5/12 equals x equals 6. Now, the next thing we're going to do after that is we're going to solve. Now, so our answer should have been, what is the value of x in front of, after getting, make sure you have your fraction reduced. So I think we have negative 5/12 if I did my math correctly, right? Because we moved it over, we had 3/12, and we're subtract. Oh, wait a minute. We're already in fourths. I'm sorry. Guys, I apologize. I made a mistake on this one. I wrote it down wrong. I made it more intense than I needed to. Sorry about that. I got common I don't need a common denominator. Sorry about that. So I'll tell you guys to skip this. So we'll get that. So let me just rewrite this. So at 1/4 x equals 6 plus 3/4 x. So we already have a common denominator. I apologize. So just fast forward to this part here, right here. All right. So we have 1/4 x plus, so we're just going to, we're going to subtract 3/4 x because we don't need a common denominator. We had one. I wrote it down wrong. Okay, so 1/4 x minus 3/4 x is 2/4 x. So this is 2/4 x equals 6, right? Now, 2/4 is 1/2. So this is 1/2 x equals 6. And 1/4 minus 3/4 is negative 2/4. So it should be negative 1/2. Okay. Let me make sure my math is 1 minus 3 is negative 2. So negative 2 over 4 is negative 1/2. So this should be negative 1/2, should have been your answer. Now, if we want to finish this problem off, we multiply by the reciprocal. What is the reciprocal of negative 1/2? It's negative 2 over 1. And then you multiply this, multiply it by negative 2 over 1, right? All right, so these all cancel out. Those all cancel out. So now x equals 6 times negative 2 over 1 happens to be negative 12. So the answer would be negative 12 on that. Okay? Sorry about that mistake, but hopefully I'll just tell you guys to fast forward it so you'll probably never see it. All right, now the next problem is solve the equation for d. So we have d over r equal d over t, so t equals r. And so just multiply both sides of the equation by t to get d by itself. So d equals rt. So it's going to be that one right there. That was a pretty easy one, right? All right, next equation. Okay, so this one we want to solve. We want to solve this one for t. Okay, so we have I equals PRT. Now, we want to solve it for t. So what is connected to the t? Well, the p and the r. So I'm going to divide both sides by p and r. So t equals I over PR. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy it, and now I'm going to go to that one I skipped up top. All the way up here where I wrote skip for now, I'm going to recopy that. I'm going to recopy that answer I had. Okay, so that's my equation that I just solved for. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug numbers into this equation and I'm going to solve for t. Okay, so I have t equals, now they tell me that I equals, let's see here, how many years will it take to earn $80? Okay, so you want your, so let's see here, interest equals principal times the rate times the time. So we want to know t equals, so so we're going to put in for p, that's our principal, $80. Oh no, wait a minute. So we earn $80 in interest. Our principal is $500. So this is our interest, this is our principal, and this is our rate. Okay, so our our principal is going to be $500 times, because we put in 500 for this P. Our rate is 4%. And how do we change a percent into a decimal? Because it says you need to change your percent to a decimal. You move it 2 places to the left and drop the percent sign. So this is going to be 0.04. So this is 500 times 0.04, and interest is $80. So our interest is 80 on top. Okay, now 500 times 0.04 is pretty simple. 4 times 5 is 20, but then we got to move the decimal 2 places. So this is going to be 20 on the bottom and 80 on the top. And 80 divided by 20, well, that's just 8 divided by 2, which equals 4. So, 1 second here. I have a gentleman needs to speak to me real quick. So let me take a quick break. All right, back to you. Someone wanted a donut from the teacher break room. We said, no, teachers are getting too skinny. We need to eat our donuts. So anyways, okay. So hope that made sense. So we're done with that one. So let's go back, skip around here. Do we have any problems left? We got this last one right here. Okay. So now we're going to save this. We want to solve this equation for y. So we have 4x plus 2y equals 24. And so we're going to subtract, let's see here, we're going to subtract 4 x's from both sides to get y on the same by itself. So now we have 2y equals negative 4x plus 24. And then we're going to divide everything by 2. We're going to divide everything by 2 to get y by itself. So now I get y equals negative 4 divided by negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2x, and 24 divided by 2 is 12. So you should have negative 2x plus 12. Negative 2x plus 12 should be what you put in that box right there. All right, guys, make sure you get that secret code that I put in the video somewhere. And I'll have you skip over that time that I said. And you guys have a great day. We'll see you later. Oh, by the way, now bring this paper up to me. And once you're done, bring this paper up to me, and then I'll give you, if you want to do your version 2 and get a higher grade on this quiz, you can. If not, I'll just keep the grade you have. Have a great day. Bye.